friends. Welcome back to another episode of A Tribe Called Dhillon podcast. I'm Angie Dhillon.
And I'm Rose Dhillon.
And I'm Alvin Dhillon.
And today I'm actually it's a bittersweet episode for Rose and I. Alvin is going to be today's moderator, but we're actually dedicating an entire episode to the late and the great Sridevi. This August 13th, she would be 59 years old. Unfortunately, in 2000, looking back here at my notes here, in 2018, February 24th, she died of accidental drowning in Dubai. For us, Rose and I think for all of India, and for those of you that are Sridevi lovers, it was a really difficult day for us because she represented so much for us. So today's episode is going to talk about Sridevi's life and legacy. And let's get into the content. But before we do, I want to quickly back it up. We got to do our win of the week segment. I want to make sure that we always start off with win of the week. And same goes for our listeners and our viewers. If you have a win of the week, remember, like I said, it doesn't have to be so big. It could be something super small, but as long as it's a win and you feel good about it, please share it in our comment section. Rose, over to you. What's your win of the week?
I have a bike that I just haven't used in like years. I'm not a big bike rider. I just don't really do it. And so I was telling Dad, I'm like, I think I'm going to sell my bike. And he's like, no, why don't you let me convert it into an electric bike? And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, because that way when you get tired and pedaling, you can just, zoom. And I'm like, all right, fine. And Dad loves projects. And so he converted my bike into an electric bike.
Cool.
And so last week, Dad and I went and did a test spin. And it was so fun. Like just boom, and the thing just takes off on you and you're just going. And it's like, I understand why men want motorcycles now. I get it. Like it is so much fun. It was such a high. And it was really cool because as we were riding to the park, Dad doesn't like to do on the street. So we went to the park and this little boy was like, he looked at me and I stopped and he's like, electric? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, and the look on his face. I mean, I would have let him ride it, but he was just too small and the bike was too big and I don't want to get sued. But it really made me realize like that's such a luxury item that I have the privilege of having. Like it really took me a minute to stop and realize one, it took Dad a good few weeks to figure out, how to put, because he ordered a special one for mine. He put all this hours and hours of labor work into making that bike for me. And then, just having to experience it with Dad. It was so fun. Now the two of us are going to go, bike riding together. And
that's going to be your thing.
Yeah. So that was my win of the week and made me really happy.
It's fun because you can go further, right? Before when you rode manual, you can go so far. You're like, now I got to pedal all the way back and you're exhausted. So these on the way back, it just makes it so much easier. I enjoy it too.
Very cool. So your bike basically got transformed with an engine.
Totally. Exactly what happened. And it's,
Do you know how much horsepower it has?
That I don't know, but I was able to go up to 29 miles per hour on that at the park.
Miles per hour? Because that's 50 kilometers.
Yeah. No, okay. Maybe the other way around.
It's like
maybe the other way. Sorry, you're right. 30 kilometers, which is like 20 miles then? 22 miles? That sounds about right. Yeah. I didn't wear my helmet, so I didn't want to go faster than that because I was like, I have a podcast to record. So
you're a lawbreaker there.
Yeah, you know me. Yeah.
Oh, you got to wear that helmet there.
But it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one.
And how cool is that? I don't think you don't realize the significance of this bike because God forbid our dad is very healthy and we want him to stick around for another 20, 30 years. But that bike, it's going to stay with you. It's going to be meaningful.
Because it's all his hard work and effort and labor of love. He was so excited to do it.
He spent a lot of time with that.
Yeah. I felt really like that's what was so cool. And seeing his excitement when he's like, how do you like it? I'm like, and I just take off and he'd come back and he's like so happy to see me like just, enjoying it. Yeah. That was I know
when dad was working, because there was some Amazon parts that kept coming to the house. I'd be like, Dad, there's an Amazon package for you. And he's like, oh, that's for Rose's bike. And then I'm like, Dad, finally, I turned around and asked him, I go, Dad, what are you doing with Rose's bike? Because I didn't know about this whole, project. And he goes, I'm going to turn Rose's bike into electric bike. And I turn around and I'm like, our dad's approaching 70. And I'm like, Dad, why are you wasting your time? Rose has shitload of money. Tell her to sell the bike on Marketplace and just buy an electric bike. Like, hello, why are you being so cheap? And he's like, no, it's a fun project. I want to do it. She did suggest that, but I want to, I want to do this. So it's like he really wanted to do this. I think
he enjoys it because I think it also keeps his skills sharpened. Like he's like, okay, I haven't built a bike in like a year. This was like, it kind of refreshing. Like, okay, I know how to do it. And I saw him like he had to get parts and make things and like, okay, this is not
paint
working.
Things.
Like, run all the wiring and something's not working. Like he took it to a welding shop to get certain brakes changed because it was not the right height. So There was a lot of custom work in that.
Total customer, because even one part of the on the left side lever didn't work. He had to remove that and make like there was a
and
lot
when I
of.
saw it getting built, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to turn. I was like, this is going to look like a piece of shit. I was like, all the wires are everywhere. And after he did it, he finished it, he cleaned it up. I was like, oh, that looks pretty clean.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah.
And I kind of secretly want to get an electric bike as well.
Well, and actually, for the viewers, I recorded. I had my mom record my dad and I riding our bike. So I'm actually going to drop that clip on social media for everyone to see father-daughter bike ride.
You know what we should do? Just buy one of Dad's, because knowing Dad, in a couple years he's going to upgrade and that bike's going to sit there. So it's going to have to go to somebody. That's why I'm just waiting for him to get another one. And I'm like, I'll just take over the old one.
Yeah. And I don't think Dad. I think he knows this, but I don't think he realizes that the amount of like working on the bike, how much of the left and the right brain and all those brain muscles he's using. Because as we age, we don't really work those different muscles on the left side and the right side of the brain. Right. So for these types of complicated projects, he's using all parts and his entire brain to problem solve this, right? So cool. So I really hope that Dad continues to do these kinds of things, because he's going to be around with us for a long time. And his mind is going to be very sharp.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Alvin, what is your win of the week?
I'm going to try to stick to something that's non-construction related. But what I had to do is poor Meeks, his hair was getting really long and it's been really hot for the last couple of weeks. But Miko. Okay. I haven't had a chance to like trim him or do anything with him. So finally one day I was like, we played with him and he was tired. So I was like, I know he doesn't like being moved onto the washing machine or laundry to trim. He gets really irritated. So I was like, now is the time. So I just sat there for a good 20, 30 minutes and I trimmed him up while he was lying down. He would get a little irritated. So I'd stop after a while. Next day I did a little bit more. And finally within 2 days, he was trimmed up and you can tell he's sleeping a lot better and he's a lot more cooler, because it was just probably about half a pound of hair that came off of him.
Wow.
Yeah, now he looks like
great.
A baby goat.
He looks like a total baby goat, but he's loving it. He's happy because he's not so hot anymore. So thanks, Al.
So that was
a great win. Because you saved me that time and you saved me that trouble. So I appreciate that.
Money. Well, it's expensive.
I know. I don't take him, not because I'm cheap to drop him off. It's because they've cut him a couple times and I just get a little nervous and he gets way too stressed out there that I just don't like putting him through that.
Yeah,
so
you want to put
I
him
do
through
that
that anxiety.
Myself. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 3 wins actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. So number 1, my first win is on vacation next week. Win. Oh, that's a huge win because I'm off for a whole entire week.
Yes.
Win of the week.
Break from work is always a win.
Break from work. I know. Yep. Anytime you're away from work, it's good. I'm so excited. This is terrible. If anyone, any of my colleagues are watching this episode,
you need a break from the work that you don't like. That's what it is.
I like my work. Sometimes it gets demanding. I have a cool employer. I have really cool colleagues, but sometimes you just need a mental break.
Everyone needs a break.
Yeah, and it's honestly, it's my first vacation of the year, like 7 months in.
Angie, that's a long time.
Yeah, so I started to crack around April. I started to notice that April, I'm like, I'm getting really crusty. I need a break. And I should have just taken something off in May and I didn't. So now I know better that perhaps each quarter, whether it's a couple of days or a long weekend, I'm going to take some time off from work. So that's number 1. That was my first win.
Just like gambling, know your limits and you stay within it.
That's a good one. Now, my second win is, it's almost a win. I'm looking to purchase not rollerblades, but you remember roller skates back in the days? Yeah. I think some of these things are coming back from the 80s and the 90s, like hula hoop, all these things that created nostalgia for us. And I remember roller skating and loving it. So stay tuned for that purchase. I'm trying to find a white and a pink one, or a pink and a black one. It has to be pink roller skates.
Of course it does.
There's some difficulties with making that purchase, but that one is a win. I guess it's not a progressional. What is it? It's going to be a win that's going to transpire into a true win. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a future win.
It's basically the idea that you've committed that you're going to get that. So
it's a progressional win. Yeah. Like it's going to happen.
We should all get the rollerblades and then we shoot a video with that.
Well, I need roller skates. I'm not good at
I wanted to do that, but I was just worried about falling and breaking my camera. Like, this is all this money going.
I just realized I probably will injure myself, and I will probably fall. I'm going to wear knee pads, shin pads, and stuff, and I'll just have to work from home.
Stop
then.
going right into a wall.
I might have to just work from home, get a little bit of break from that commute. If I injure myself.
Yep.
Okay, and my third win, we are going to talk about this on an entire episode, all 3 of us. Okay. And I know I table this and I say this. We're going to talk about it on another episode.
We have a lot to talk about.
I have created a long list of things that we will come back and table to. I've discovered CBD CBD, is that how you say it? Like oil, gummies. And I was the last one to arrive to the CBD party. So I will let you guys know about how it enhances your mood. If you're irritable, if you're having mood swings, if you're just you're in a bad day, you're having a funk, you're not feeling so good, you got some joint pains, inflammation, you name it, PMS pains, hormonal pains, anything. I'm telling you, I just discovered this stuff recently. These two have been telling me about the oils. I'm like, I don't need it. I'm all natural. And I started doing a little bit of research, discovered that it's a plant medicine. There's some crazy benefits. So, I feel like I'm coming out of the cloud.
Good job.
Well, good job. You know what the funny thing is? I don't know if it's for everyone, to the viewers, but I will say I've noticed a huge shift in my sister. Some of her jokes, I haven't laughed as much as I have in the last month on your jokes. I'm like, whoa, Al. Careful, comedian Al, because Angie's coming under. Like, damn.
You can be my assistant.
I'll be your writer.
She'll be your writer.
Yeah. And make sure you're a ghostwriter. No credits going to you.
And we have to let our viewers and listeners know that might not know about CBD. CBD does not have any THC, so you actually don't
won't get
high.
stoned.
It does not have the psychoactive ingredients.
Yes.
to it.
So you can still function and do things, but it just takes the edge off. And I was finding I was getting really edgy.
And you should be blessed to be in BC because we have pretty much like the world's best bud
They
here.
call it BC Bud,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the reason that we have the best bud? Is it climate?
I think it's
weather?
our water too, because
really?
you need so much water to grow it. And we also have their strains and the seeds are really good. But BC buds, like people take it from here and take it all over the States.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah, it's like
really?
Colorado too. They have like that Mendocino County, I think it's called, and or it's California. They have certain areas that just grow really good weed because it's the good soil and it's good water.
Actually, to our viewers from India, they have access to that as well. When we were in India, it was everywhere.
It is, but that's not good quality, right?
Oh, it's not.
It's extremely low THC, more leafy. It's not like everything down here has gone to a science.
Okay.
But from one of our friends, he did tell us if you go to, I think, Shimla or something like that, he's like, those areas in the higher mountains, he's like, they have really good
That makes
weed
sense.
out there.
India was actually
high quality.
India was actually one of the first countries that discovered marijuana because it was growing there in the 1800s, 1700s.
Yeah, I think in the Hindu religion, I think it was Shiva or something. They were drinking. I think they call it bang.
Bang.
Yeah, and I think they even till now, I think people eat it there. Like they put in pakorde and they do stuff like that. But extremely weak stuff, right? It's not going to give you too much of it. It's extremely weak.
Yeah, it's also called ganja as well. That's another name for it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we should get right into the Sridevi one. I'm going to pass the notes to you, Al, because
I am the moderator today.
You're going to be the moderator asking your sisters about the iconic Sridevi.
Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't really relate to Sridevi. I do find her really attractive and she's pretty. But growing up, I wasn't into all that. So you guys were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I'm so excited. I don't know why.
too.
I love talking about her.
Yeah.
First question. We'll go to you, Ange.
Okay.
What do you remember about Sridevi?
This is gonna get emotional for me. What don't I remember about Sridevi? I think not a day goes by where I don't think about her because she influenced my upbringing in such a positive way. When we were growing up in the 80s and the 90s, when we would turn to Western television, from Hollywood, anything that we would watch on TV, nobody looked like us. No one spoke like us. We had Oprah at that time, but we really didn't have any South Asian representatives on TV. So of course we would have to go to our Bollywood side, which is our Indian cinema to watch people that look like us. So when mom and, our parents introduced us to Hindi movies or forcefully made us watch Sholay and all these movies to appreciate our culture, when Sridevi came on the screen, it was electrifying because I think predominantly for the most part, it was a male dominated industry. I don't remember some of the actresses from the 60s and the 70s, like Mumtaz.
Hema
Malini was 80s, but like Nutan, there was, I can't remember some of the other female actresses. But when and there's also Rekha, but Sridevi had this electronic or
magnetism.
There's her personality. Like she lit up the stage, she lit up, on when she came on cinema, like you could capture her energy from just watching her on the other side of the TV. And I can't imagine what it was like probably working with her, all the cinematographers, all the directors, the costume designers, because she was just so cool. So for me, I remember her big brown eyes, I remember her chubby cheeks. I remember, recall like she was very skinny and tall at the time. She had this killer voluptuous figure. She had this infectious laugh that she would do in movies all the time, like a giggle. Do you remember, Rose? She was magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, I just gravitated towards her movies.
Repeat the question.
So
sorry.
now to you, Rose. What do you remember about Sridevi?
Yeah, I'll add to Ange. I think for me, like, for some reason, women in Bollywood were represented more in a serious manner. They were kind of like shy, timid. Like I think about Pakiza, Meena Kumari, like that kind of like sadness all day. And then she came on screen and she's like laughing, she's giggling, she's wearing Western clothing, she's just goofy, she's funny. And you're like, whoa, this is not what typical Bollywood women. And so I think for the first time seeing that for us was really like, whoa, she's fun. Like I want to be her friend, because I would see Jaya Badri, Jaya Bachchan, all of them, all these amazing actresses with just very serious tone to them, where she brought this very jovial, very lighthearted, fun energy on screen. And for us being so young, we were drawn to that fun energy.
We
of
were
hers.
so impressionable then.
We were
too,
so
right?
impressionable. Yeah.
Changed like the direction or the trajectory
Totally.
of movies, because I guess they were used to seeing subservient roles for the women.
Yes.
And then she decided to be a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
She changed the landscape of Indian cinema
100%.
for females, because there's so many females that she was a trailblazer. She opened the doorway for other female lead actors to come in. I still think she was the best.
I just recall you guys watching the movies all and over and over again, and it was like every time you're trying to team and you're replaying the movie.
Mere Haathon Mein. We did that.
Yeah.
Ange and I
Chandni?
performed that song like 20 times over and over. Yeah.
And every movie from that.
Maybe we'll have to do that for, rest in peace, Real Ange is ode to...
An ode to Sridevi.
Yeah.
And that movie, Chandni, had the best songs.
Yeah.
But Sridevi, you knew when Sridevi was going to be in a movie that the songs were going to be amazing. Yeah. And she was an amazing dancer as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the second question here. So Rose, will go to you.
Okay.
How did she influence you through her performances?
Oh, again, so going back to the fact that she was just so fun and natural. Again, I think seeing first time women wearing American clothing, because they all wore saris. A lot of them wore saris, and that's, long yards of fabric that are covered. She came out wearing trendy clothing. I just remember her. And even if a movie was really bad, like I didn't think Lamhe was good, but she carried the film with her amazing performances and her clothing that she chose to wear, and her, like you're saying, her big brown eyes that would just light up on the screen. So for me, she really just made me want to be more fun, and I would mimic her behavior. I would laugh like her laugh, and I would smile and do her things. I'd look in the mirror and practice how the way she did it. I wanted to go up and be just like Sridevi, because she seemed so fun to be around. Like light, it was light, it was very feathery, very happy-go-lucky. I mean, obviously behind the scenes, everyone has problems, but she did a very good job of projecting that energy. And I think like some of the song choices that she would do were like, she would be the one that would say no to the man, because it was always the man chose the woman. Yeah. She'd be like, no, I don't want you. I'm free. Nobody can capture me. Like that kind of energy that she portrayed. I really love.
Free spirit.
Very empowering.
Very empowering. Yeah. I'll let Ange.
Okay. And so you, question to you. How did she influence you through her performances?
Oh man, she was such a versatile actress, such amazing range. I think each of her performance, I could connect with a feeling. When she was sad and she evoked like a sad emotion, when she was witty or she was being funny, I could connect with her on all levels. And I almost felt this, when she was playing the character, I felt her emotion through that movie because she was such a magnifying actress.
Right.
I could connect with her on that level. And she just inspired me on all aspects of my life. I think I carried myself the way she did, even though I was much shorter than her. She just inspired me to dress a certain way, to have that self-esteem and just that belief in yourself that we can do anything. Because when she came on, in the 80s, when she came on, she just came on with that electrifying personality. And it was almost like she had this empowerment mindset where, I can do it, you can do it. When she would do her interviews and you would listen to her and she'd win a Filmfare Award. just, that humbleness from her. And she came from South India. So she didn't speak that Hindi. I think she spoke Tamil, I think it was.
Yeah.
And she had to learn to speak this Hindi, and she started as a child actor. She was very young, I believe, but just to see her progression and her growth and the way she, worked through movies, for me, it was just electrifying because I gravitated towards her. And I still try and think, what exactly was it? I don't know. I think it's that we'll never really know whether it's her beauty, her height.
She had that je ne sais quoi.
That's exactly
There's just
There's something
magical
about her. Yeah.
It's her energy, right?
And I can say, like, there's a lot of beautiful actresses. I mean, Madhuri's beautiful. Jia Bachchan, they're all very beautiful, but there was something
connect with them.
special about Sridevi. When she looked into the camera, you felt her. Her
Connected
energy.
with her probably through her eyes.
I felt a realness and authenticity about her.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I don't know what was, if she had struggles in her personal life, but I just felt whatever character she was playing, I could connect with her and whatever. And I felt her emotion. I was like, oh my God, I feel her heart. I feel her pain. She had the ability to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, good job, Sridevi. Rest in peace.
You're like so excited. I can tell.
Don't hold back. Next question.
Is that my time frame, right?
Yeah.
Don't hold back the enthusiasm now.
Yeah.
Go, Sridevi.
You were the victim of a
It's
lot
okay,
of-
Andrew. We're going to have the same thing when we do the Nipsey Hustle.
The other thing is, Al, you were actually a lot of the brunt of the Sridevi dance moves that we would do, Naka Bandi stuff that we would do. We would kind of use you as a prop, or at least Rose used your prop. Yeah.
With or without my permission.
Yeah. So you were kind of indirectly part of the
I remember that. I was on that stage where I was like, I just want to watch wrestling and other stuff, and all you guys would do is watch that. You guys always like overpowered. Like, no, there's 2-1. Because I was like, I don't know what to
And
do.
we only had one TV at that time.
Mind you, before you came along, we had to watch wrestling for years. So when you came along, we don't have to watch it. Dad can watch with Al.
didn't have
we
to.
can
You
watch.
guys enjoyed it
I
too.
know
We did. I still want to come
Had
to a
to.
suplex.
I still want to do my Hulk.
You guys have to go watch the first SummerSlam or the first
I know.
WrestleMania.
I know.
Oh, I bet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't born then.
I still want to go somewhere and just jump off and boom, pile drive.
I still want to go
Off the
into.
top
I still
rope.
want to wear my Hulkamania shirt and just rip it off. I'm going to make that happen. I am going to make
And
that
then sew
happen.
it back on so you can reuse it and rip it again.
Sustainable clothing.
I remember watching that. And I tried so many times. Like, how is he ripping? I was like, but these shirts are so hard to rip. And then we realized that they're really very thin material.
Yeah.
He's already got the rip down the middle. I was like, oh, okay, I see how he did it.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Let's
moving on.
carry back on.
Okay, so third question to you, Ange. Do you think she paved the way for women in Indian cinema?
Oh, 100%. If you look at a lot of the actresses today, they all credit as Sridevi as a reason why they entered into the Indian cinema. She has trailblazed the way for so many young actresses to come in. Her performances, just everything about her, just she was monumental at that time. And unfortunately, she was coming back into acting. She took a hiatus about 10, 15 years to raise her two daughters. And for her to come back, I think, what was the movie, Rose?
English.
Yes. That was another amazing performance. And it's unfortunate that we don't get to see any more of her growth and we have to go back to watch her old movies. But man, she still gets me. It hits my heartstrings every time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird that I found her really attractive as she got older.
Yeah.
When she was younger, I don't know why I didn't find her attractive as she got older. I was like, oh man, she's really hot.
Yeah.
I think it's because we also fashion changes. You start working with better designers, hair and makeup.
Confidence.
She aged like a fine wine.
Yeah, she really did.
Yeah, and she did. And I think you come into your own where you're comfortable and you're confident in who you are. And I think that's what we saw with her progression was there was this element of confidence that started to come and we could feel it.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Rose, to you, do you think she paved the way for women in Indian cinema?
Yeah, 100%. And I think she paved the way for women when they retired to come back because English was a great film about a woman from India who moves to New York, can't speak English. I think her husband was physically abusive. And so she had to go and figure out her own way. She went and started learning how to speak English from the church. She started making friends with people. And so that was her comeback film. And it was, to say that this does happen. There's a lot of women that move to first world countries and don't know how to assimilate, don't know how to speak the language. And she really represented that character very beautifully. And so she absolutely paved the way when she was young. And then she paved the way in her late 40s and early 50s before she passed away. Yeah.
I think the other thing with Indian cinema, I think they're changing it now, but they write you off when you're a certain age.
Well, so does Hollywood.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just the nature of the thing because they're catering, I think, when you look at from their demographics that's going to spend the money, go engage with the content, is the younger crowd that need role models and that are looking up to people. So I think it's like that 18 to 25 or like 15 to 25 range. That's like the ones that are impressionable. So as you get older, how much time are you spending watching movies, engaging with their content? By that age, you're generally working, you got lives, and you don't have the time to put into it. Like how you guys, when you're younger, you guys would idolize her, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
we were mesmerized by her for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Rose, another question for you. What did you love about her acting?
Again, like Anne says, she was so versatile. I mean, do you remember when she'd do that Nagina stuff with the snake? She always did this funky performances with snakes and do these weird dances. She wasn't afraid to like try those things. I remember being like, that's creepy. Like she looks weird. Like she'd take over, the snake would take over her body. It was
she's possessed.
Like she's possessed, and she did it so well. So I think that's what was really cool about her is that she had the funny, happy roles, the sad, depressed roles, the empowerment roles. She played every aspect of it, and she put in 100% is what I felt. Again, I don't know, but from seeing it on screen, she always put in a certain amount of energy to it that if the movie wasn't that great, she carried the film.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay. Ange, what did you love about her acting?
Everything. I loved everything. And I even love those silly contacts that she would wear in all of her movies. Do you remember?
I got colored contacts because of her.
Yeah, in the 90s, it was like contacts were trending, and Sridevi's eye color would change in every movie.
Gray,
gray,
blue, green,
hazel,
blue,
and whatever. And she's such a beautiful woman. And I'm like, well, Sridevi, you don't need to do it. But I think just with her, with certain roles, you know, or the Nagina stuff, which was the snake stuff, it was like trying to create like a possessed look. So they, you know, her eyes would kind of change. But I just loved everything about her acting. I still do. I hold her in high regard, and it's just what a loss it is for the Indian cinema and for the world, because I know that in other countries they watch Indian movies, and just we lost an amazing bright star. And I would have loved to have seen her in her 60s and 70s and to see how she would have performed.
How old was she again when she passed?
59.
Yeah,
no, she would have been 59 now. You said she passed away in 2018.
You're right.
So she was 55, 54?
Yes. And so this August 13th, she would have been 59 years old.
Yeah, she's very young. Yeah. And you know, the day she passed away, like I remember, you remember when Michael Jackson passed away? Like I remember being in downtown, everyone's crying. I just couldn't like feel the same connection. I was more like, I liked Michael Jackson. His music was great, but I didn't understand what people were feeling. And when Sridevi that day passed away, I was like, oh, this is what it feels like when you really idolize someone and they pass on too early. You're like a shock. Like I remember feeling the whole day, just like a level of sadness was carrying over me the entire day. And probably the week I watched her funeral because they put it on YouTube. And I remember feeling really, really sad that when she passed away.
And it was unfortunate the way she passed away too, because she went for a family wedding in Dubai.
Yeah.
And she was, I think, shopping for her daughter's 21st upcoming birthday. And her husband came to surprise her in the hotel. She went to go take a shower or take a bath. And, you know, within 15 minutes, she somehow submerged underwater.
Yeah, there's so many like just strange things and mystery and suspicion around her death that it doesn't add up to like how she passed and why they weren't able to like get help that like within a certain amount of time. It just, there's so many questions that just didn't add up. And
the other thing is, I don't know, I have to read a little bit more of the information, but I think it was saying that her husband had to break down the door or something because they couldn't get in. But generally when you're married, you don't go and lock the door in the bathroom. You would just close the door, say I'm having a bath. So
that's true. I never
found
locked
that
the door.
a little strange.
I still don't lock the door.
Yeah. And I've told everybody now, as soon as you hit over the age of 40, don't lock the door. Okay, friends, Al just threw the torch back to me as moderator. I think he should have closed the show, but it's back to me. I hope you enjoyed today's ode to the iconic Sridevi. As you can probably tell on screen if you're watching this as our viewer, but if you're our listener, we really hope we were able to make you feel our energy and capture the essence of what Sridevi, what she stood for. Rose and I were so excited, and we probably will drop another couple more months down the road talking about her again, or maybe talking about some of our other Indian film actresses that really made an impact and shaped the way we grew up. So with that said, we are going to be signing off. Hope today's episode was a great one for you. Don't forget to subscribe and log into and check us out on all of our social channels. Make sure you tell us about your win of the week. And until next week, please take care of yourself. We're signing off. It's a Tribe Called Dhillon podcast, and I'm Angie Dhillon.
Goodbye.
See ya.